welcome back to Well State Experience. I'm your host, Mariandrina Seidel, and today with me I have a special guest that I can call brother, since we are from the same family of dragons and closers, big closers. Actually, he's an award winner for sales. He's an entrepreneur, multidisciplinary entrepreneur. He's a specialist on growth strategy and business, and a loving father. I know he cares a lot about his family. Welcome, Dev Sethi. Thank you very much for being here with us today and have the time to share your experience in real estate with us.
Thank you, Maria. It's good to be here.
Thank you back again. And so I would like to ask you, what is your background in real estate and how you started on this business?
Okay, so real estate started way back. I think it was about 5 years ago now when I was still, no more, about 7 years ago when I was in a job and I was trying to figure out. So I was in a good paying job and I was like, what do I do with my money now, right? So I said, okay, maybe let me invest in some real estate. So I got some properties as an investment property. I'm like, let me see how that goes, right? So I didn't know anything about real estate. So I just got a buyer's agent, had a chat with that person and says, hey, you know what? I want to enter into real estate. Can you help me? So that's how I started. And when I got my first property, I got really interested. I started reading a lot of books and understanding a lot more real estate. But that's really what got me started to like, hey, I'm paying too much tax now. How do I actually make use of this money in a better way? And that's when I said, look, let me just look into real estate. That's really how I started.
Wow. Well, I think we all started that way, right? At some point, we realized that how novel is a real estate as an asset, right? So
Yes.
I'm still curious. So from that point on, you started on your first, let's say your first asset, and then what was the next step for you?
So it actually started, the trigger was actually really, so before that, when I was in a job, I was renting, right? And I got married afterward. And then my wife's like, why are you still renting? Like, we should buy something of our own, right? I'm like, why buy? It's okay. We can keep renting. But she said to me that, hey, real estate is a great way, right? So she put it in me to say, hey, let's invest, let's get real estate. So I got reading. I said, okay, we've got this money, and that accountant was saying that you're paying a lot of tax as well. Maybe maximize the value you can get out of your income. So we got into property. We bought our first property, which was actually a place where we lived in, right? Just to transition out, and it was a mostly sense of security for my wife as well, right? Hey, we have a place of our own. Okay, so it was not a very expensive property. It was just a two-bedroom apartment, and it was like, hey, let's get that. That's how we started. When we got that, I'm like, hey, this is good. Let's get another one. So then we got a buyer's agent in, and we said, look, this is our financial situation. What can we afford? So then at that point of time in Australia, so I'm talking purely in Australia. I live in Australia now, and it was all about getting because we didn't have a lot of deposit. Okay, we didn't have a lot of deposit, and we were just, the two of us. My wife wasn't working, only I was actually getting the income. So from a loan perspective also, it was limited. So the way we entered the market, and it was quite an like a low barrier of entry, is we went off the plan, right? Off the plan is we just look at the plan, brand new properties, and it's very minimal deposit. So that's how we actually entered, right? And it was a good way of us just entering. When we entered, the property would be finished in about maybe a year and a half, and that's when we apply for the loan. So it gave us a year and a half time to build our income up, but we got into the market at that point. And once we got into that and we kept going, we were like, hey, this is good. I started reading a lot more about real estate. I started understanding the money is actually in the real estate. You put it in and let the money grow with time, right? And the market goes up and down. It doesn't matter when you get in, just get in, and it's the length of time. That's what I understood. When I understood that, after a year, I got my the third property I got. Then I went into the fourth one, and then I got two more lands after that. So I ended up in the span of like within 6 years, I got like six properties. So approximately one every year. And it was a no-brainer. So that's what I started doing. And that's really how I got into it. And that's how I kept going.
Wow, it's amazing how it's universal. It's not different from Australia than here in Mexico, right? And many times what I suggest, for example, to people that wants to purchase a property that doesn't have like that kind of liquidity at the beginning, right? They're scared, they don't know what to do, they have a little bit of money, and they're not really sure what to do. And I said, like, well, you can always put your money in pre-sales, because once that you put it in pre-sales, you have also the financing with the developer, maybe with no interest rates, and it's really affordable, right? And people is scared many times to, I don't know if they're gonna finish, I don't know the developers, even though I always do my homework, and I double check all the developers, their background, and everything, right? But still people is afraid to step out of the comfort zone, right? So what would you recommend to these people that they are thinking about how to start in real estate, because
Mm.
everybody wants to start in real estate, but they don't know how, or they don't know where, or I
Mhm.
just have $20,000. What do I do with that? I can't afford a property with $20,000. So what would you recommend to those people?
Okay, look, I think this is a great question because when I started as well, I was scared. I was really scared, right? Like I've never bought a real estate before, and it's going to be the biggest purchase in my life, right? So I was really scared. What do I do? And like I said, the reason why I was scared also is because I did not know what to do, how to do. So I got myself educated, by reading more books, talking to more people, just getting into the zone of that environment of where people are talking about real estate, right? There's always a fear when you're going to do something new, right? Whether it's a brand new property as well, or even if it's an established property, or if it's developed, there's risk everywhere. Okay, nothing is guaranteed. Okay, you put your money in investments, there are no investments that are guaranteed. So it's the matter of how comfortable you are with that investment, and to increase that comfort and reduce the fear is number one. I would say is just get yourself educated, maybe read more books around real estate, maybe read more articles around real estate, look at the trends of what's happening, and then make the judgment based on what you feel is right for you. If you feel a brand new pre-sales property is the way to go, where you need a small deposit, hey, go for it, right? Or talk to your accountant, of course, go for it. The second one is, if you feel that it's actually an established property and you want to save up a little bit more, have a chat with your accountant, get proper advice, go for that one. So it's based on where it is, but the number one I'd say is get yourself educated. Number two is have a chat with your accountant or someone in the space. Okay, so that would actually be really key, understanding your finances, because getting a property, it's the easy part. Holding on to it, it's actually a little tougher as well, right? So you got to look at your cash flows as well. So talk to your accountant. Once you understand all this, you make the judgment, oh yeah, it's actually not that hard, or it's really hard, or it's that easy. That's what I actually did. And number three is, you can read all the books, you can ask all the advice, but number three is, you have to have that courage to say, look, I need a leap of faith, right? There's nobody who can give you that. It's just, if you want to grow, if you want that real estate for whatever reason, make that reason the courage to say, okay, let's give it a shot. So that would be the three things I would actually say.
Wow, that's really valuable. Thank you very much, because that's what we're trying to do in this space, right? We're trying to educate people about real estate, given as much information as we can about not only Mexican market, but also all the markets around the world, and people that have experience like you, investing and growing on real estate. As you said, the easy part is to close the deal and to buy the house, but then there is this fake belief that it's a house, so you don't need to put more money over there. It's just a house, right? And no matter what, it will grow the value. And I always said, like, you can also lose value in real estate, because if you don't keep your properties in a good condition, you're losing money, right? So I know that you already like in big steps in the real estate. So another question for you will be, how to keep or a few secrets to keep that wealth or that value, because we all talk about it's easy to get rich, but it is, I mean, it's more difficult to stay rich, right? The real thing is to stay rich. So what is the secret to keep the value of your properties?
Okay. So look, the number one thing I would probably say is it's a fear of missing out, right? So a lot of people fear that, oh, if I don't get this deal right now, I'm not going to get it. So they jump into the wrong deal. And when you jump into the wrong deal, you can't hold on to the property and then you lose what you bought. Okay. So investing is a risk. Get proper advice. This is just my personal opinion right here. But fear of missing out is the number one reason why people jump into a wrong deal. So if you start by jumping into the wrong deal, no matter how great the property is, you won't be able to hold it. And when you dispose it off, you lose the money. Because real estate, there is a barrier of entry. There is a bit of deposit. There's a bit of a stamp duty. But on the sale as well, there is also some taxes. There is also certain exit fees you do. So you need the property to grow with time so that when you exit at a high, you don't exit at a low. So fear of missing out is probably the first secret. Don't jump into any deal, fear of missing out. Okay, if you don't not comfortable with it, don't go for it. There's always a deal in the future. Yeah, are we number one? The second secret is, if you're into, I'll give a bit of an example here. If you're buying a house, for example, the easiest way to actually grow wealth in that house is actually either do small renovations, not big, do small renovations, or increase a living space. People pay a lot for living space. So if you, let's say you buy a 3 bedroom house, I'm just making it up, right? A 3 bedroom house, and there's another big room that you can convert into a smaller study or a smaller bedroom. Now your house becomes a 4 bedroom house. Automatically the price just increases, and the development that you've done in that is not as much. So that way you can increase the value of your house considerably. That's the way on how you can create wealth. That's number two. Number three is, really, it's a little bit more riskier, but you got to actually know the market. This is a bit more advanced. If you're advanced, is if you enter early on in a property development deal, if you enter early on and just get land, right, at a very low cost or very low market value, below the market, that land will grow with time, because land, they're not making any more of the land, right? So that is a way on how you can actually get into the market. Just buy land. But the risk here is holding on to that land, because there's no income from that. So it's a higher risk. It's for more sophisticated people. When you've got cash flow disposal, that would be another way on how you can invest. And as the land grows, you can then build something or dispose it off at a profit. So that would be like the 3 ways on how to actually make sure the wealth stays with you and grows it.
Great. I always ask my clients, how patient are you to get your returns?
Hmm.
It's like one of my first questions, because if they say like, well, or another question I always do, are you looking to have cash flow, or to just go for the capital gaining? Because there are two different things, as you said, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, Deb, so another question. I know that you're not allotting to the wellness stuff, but what do you think is or what is your vision for this trend that now is in the real estate, and more places in the world are investing in big communities of wellness, focus on wellness? What do you think about that?
So look, I think wellness is a massive space. Okay. In fact, there's a lot of countries, even here in Australia, there's a lot of focus on the real estate in the wellness space, like nursing home, retirement homes, aged care, because the population, as we grow, the health facilities in this world is getting better. It means people are living longer. Now,
Yeah.
when people are living longer, they they don't need that big house that they bought when they were younger, right? So they're sort of downsizing, going into a bit more of a space where they have people like them around them, a small community. So the trend is moving in that space. You can actually clearly see it, right? The If you look at the study, the population growth is growing, but the age that people are actually living, it's a lot longer as well. So at that age, people want a safe environment. People want to be around where there's not a lot of noise, but it's more about, hey, let's meet, let's greet, let's have a bit of a play area. More of the aged care, nursing home, retirement village. That's the trend. So I see this is the trend going as well. And the good part of these people, when they've got the big home, when they downsell, they're selling their property, they're loaded with cash as well. So they're ready to invest, because for them, it's safety is like the number one, environment, the community that they are is like number two, right? And then they're looking at the benefits of, the ease of actually getting benefits. So it's growing in that space. And I think this is the an area that is massively sort of growing. People are investing more in it as well, and I see it growing. So that would be my take on it.
And I want to add to that, that not only people that is retiring is focused on these kind of properties or in these kind of projects, but also because of internet and all the facility that we have now to work online wherever you are in the world. We have here in Mexico a lot of families, young people that are looking for more boutique places, and communities that are maybe more not like these huge developments, but spaces that they can get to know their neighbors, that they know that, if something happened again, we wish not, but some other lockdown or something like that, they have the opportunity to just have
Right.
a barbecue with the neighbor because there are people that think alike them, and create that like more a larger family concept. So thank you very much for
Yep.
your time and your opinions. It will be is so valuable, your experience. I mean, you're a big role model for for me and the community that we belong to. I know that
Yep.
you are a big role model there. So thank you very much for your
Thank
time,
you. Thank you.
and
Yes.
I hope to have you again anytime soon.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot, Maria, for having me here, and all the best to you as well.
Thank you. So thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us for more of these valuable interviews, and see you next time. Bye.